Students, welcome to the class. I am your economics teacher. Economics, you have 12 chapters. First, we have to discuss about introduction to macroeconomics, meaning of macroeconomics, concepts of macroeconomics, importance of macroeconomics, scope of macroeconomics, limitations of macroeconomics, economy and its types, economic systems. An economic system is nothing but socialism, capitalism, and mixedism. Introduction to macroeconomics. The subject economics is classified into two branches, microeconomics and macroeconomics. Father of modern macroeconomics, J.M. Keynes. Before J.M. Keynes, Ragnar Frisch, an Norwegian economist and the co-recipient of the first Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences, coined the word micro and macro. Micro means small, macro means large. Macroeconomics, the modern term, began with John Maynard Keynes, J.M. Keynes. He explained his book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money. Keynes offered an explanation for fallout from the Great Depression, when goods remained unsold and workers unemployed. Again, Keynes is regarded as the father of modern economics. Shifted to meaning of macroeconomics. What is the meaning of macroeconomics? Macro, M-A-C-R-O. Macro means, it is derived from the Greek word macros, M-A-K-R-O-S, macros. Macros means large. In 11th standard, you study the microeconomics. Micro means small. Macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole. In other words, macroeconomics deals with aggregates such as national income, employment and output. Macroeconomics is also known as income theory. Meaning of macroeconomics. Macros you learn. In macroeconomics, what are the subjects covered? Let's see. Employment, national income, inflation, business cycle, poverty, inequality. In macroeconomics is also known as income theory. Income theory is the other name for macroeconomics. International trade, balance of trade and balance of payments, exchange rate and economic growth. It's also included in the scope of macroeconomics. Importance of macroeconomics. The importance and the need for introducing a macro outlook of an economy are given below. There is a need to understand the functioning of the economy at the aggregate level to evolve suitable strategies and to solve the basic problems prevailing in an economy. In economy, there are many problems. One is smallest one we have to conclude the all. We take the topic macro. The macro, understanding the future problems. What are the future problems, needs, challenge of an economy? Importance to evolve precautionary measures. Precautionary measures means what you have to take in economy. In our economy, there are many problems we have to face in the future. You should step up to the precautionary measures. Macroeconomics provides ample opportunities to use scientific investigation to understand the reality. What is the reality in the economy? In economics, macroeconomics help to understand. Macroeconomics help to make meaningful comparison and analysis of economic indicators. Macroeconomics help for better prediction about future and to formulate suitable policies to avoid economic crisis. What are the economic crises we have faced? And if you have financial status in our economy, our population increases, these are all affect the economic, create the economic crisis. In the importance of macroeconomics, we discuss about these concepts. Next, we go to the scope of macroeconomics. Scope of macroeconomics: national income, inflation, business cycle, poverty and unemployment, economic growth, and economic policies. First, introduce the concept national income. What is national income? How to measure? Let's see. Measurement of national income and its composition by sectors are the basic aspects of macroeconomic analysis. The trends in national income and its composition provide a long-term understanding of the growth process of an economy. Next one is inflation. Inflation refers to steady increase in general price level. Steady increase in the increasing in same level. Estimating the general price level by constructing various price index such as wholesale price index, consumer price index. Next we are going to discuss about business cycle. Business cycle, otherwise called trade cycle. Almost all economies face the problem of business fluctuations and business cycle. The cyclical movements: boom, recession, depression, and recovery. In the economy, need to carefully study based on aggregate economic variables. Next, we shift to poverty and unemployment. Everybody knows about the poverty and unemployment. Poverty means low income, only satisfy the consuming the needy products. The major problems of most resource-rich nations are poverty and unemployment. This is one of the economic paradoxes. A clear understanding about the magnitude of poverty and unemployment facilitates allocation of resources and initiating corrective measures. What are the major problems we are facing? Most resources are there in our nation, but there is a poverty and unemployment. How to overcome that? In macroeconomics, we are going to learn. Next one, economic growth. The growth and development of an economy and the factors determining them could be understood only through macro analysis. Macroeconomics, otherwise the macro analysis. There is a workout going on macro analysis. The macro analysis in one big country, how the growth calculated, how the development calculated, what are the factors determining them, we have to learn in this chapter. Economic policies. Macroeconomics is significant for evolving suitable economic policies. What are the policies? Policies, how this is important. Economic policies are necessary to solve the basic problems, to overcome the obstacles and to achieve growth. Next, there are some limitations in the macroeconomics. Let's see, limitations of macroeconomics. In macroeconomics suffers from certain limitations. Let's see what are they. First one, there is a danger of excessive generalization of the economy as a whole. In nature, everything is generalized. It's not possible in the excessive generalization. Second one, it assumes homogeneity among the individual units. Third one, there is a fallacy of composition. Fallacy of composition means what is good of an individual need not be good for a nation and vice versa. What is good for a country is not good for another country and at another time. Finally, many non-economic factors determine economic activities, but they do not find place in the usual macroeconomic books. These are the limitations of macroeconomics. Next, economy and its types. What are the types are there in the economy? The term economy has been defined by A.J. Brown. According to Brown, a system by which people earn their living. J.R. Hicks defined an economy is a cooperation of producers and workers to make goods and services that satisfy the wants of the consumers. Shortly, an economist refers to any system or area where economic activities are carried out. Each economy have its own character, everybody knows. Accordingly, J.R. Hicks, the functioning of an economy by its activities is explained with the help of the flow chart. In an economy, the fundamental economic activities are production and consumption. These two activities are supported by several other activities. The ultimate aim of these activities is to achieve growth. The exchange activity supports the production and consumption activities. These activities are influenced by several economic and non-economic activities. What are the major economic activities include?
What?
The major economic activities are first one transportation, second one banking, advertising, planning, government policy and others. The major non-economic activities include environment, health, education, entertainment, governance and regulation. In addition to these supporting activities, external activities from other economies such as import and export, international relations, immigration, foreign investment, foreign exchange earnings also influence the entire functioning of the economy. Economics can be classified into different types based on status of development. Developed economy or underdeveloped economy or undeveloped economy or developing economies. The going on process. Second one, system of activities. What are the systems? Already we learned. Capitalistic, socialistic and mixed economies. Scale of activities. Based on the scale. Small size and large economies. Next one, nature of functioning. Functioning based on static and dynamic economies. Static means closed economy, dynamic means open economies. It's related to the nature of operation. Next one, nature of advancement. Economy is divided into two advancements. One is traditional and other one is modern economies. Last one, level of national income. Level of national income means GDP plus. Everybody knows last year you have learned, you had learned low income, middle income, high national economies. These are the economies classified these many types. These different types are based on the scale, status, activities, based on their functions, based on the nature of operations, nature of advancements, level of national incomes. Next we shifted to national systems. National systems. Economic systems refer to the manner in which individuals and institutions are connected together to carry out economic activities in a particular area. It is the methodology of doing economic activities to meet the needs of the society. There are three major types of economic systems. Already you learned. So capitalist economy, otherwise capitalism, socialist economy, otherwise called socialism, and mixed economy, otherwise called mixedism. Capitalism means capitalist economy, private economy, socialist public economy, nothing but government, mixed economy, mixed together private and public. Globalization or globalization, globalization, the same meaning. Globalization is the process of integration among people, companies and governments worldwide. Globalization has grown due to advances in transportation and communication technology. The term means the process by which businesses or other organizations develop international influence or start operating on an international scale. Globalism. What is globalism? Globalism includes features of capitalistic economy, merits of capitalism, demerits of capitalism, and capitalistic economy, nothing but capitalism. Globalism, the term coined by Manfred D. Steger 2002 to denote the new market ideology of globalization that connects nations together through international trade and aiming to global development. This ideology is also termed as extended capitalism. Extended capitalism. Capitalism and socialism are two extreme and opposite approaches. The two opposite approaches related to the capitalism and socialism. These are very extreme. In capitalism, there is total freedom and private ownership of means of production. In socialism, there is no freedom for private, and there is public ownership of means of production. Mixedism denotes the coexistence of capitalism and socialism. Capitalistic economy. Adam Smith is the father of capitalism. Capitalistic economy is also termed as a free economy, like laissez-faire in Latin, where the role of the government is minimum and market determines the economic activities. The means of production in a capitalist economy are privately owned. Manufacturers produce goods and services only with profit motive. The private individuals has the freedom to undertake any occupation and develop any skill. The USA, West Germany, Australia and Japan are the best examples for capitalist economies. However, they do undertake large social welfare measures to safeguard the downtrodden people from the market forces. Features of capitalist economy. Private ownership of property and law of inheritance. Second one, freedom of choice and enterprise. Thirdly, profit motive. Fourth one, free competition. Fifth one, price mechanism. Sixth one, role of government. Seventh one, inequalities of income. First, private ownership of property and law of inheritance. The basic feature of capitalism is that all resources, they are land, capital, machines, mines, etc. They are owned by private owners. The owner has the right to own, keep, sell or use these resources according to his will. The property can be transferred to to thus after death. Second one, freedom of choice and enterprises. Each individual is free to carry out any occupation or trade at any place and produce any commodity. Consumers are free to buy any commodity as per their choice. Third one, profit motive. Next slide. Profit is the driving force behind all economic activities in a capitalist economy. In any individual, an organization produce only those goods which ensure high profit. Advanced technology, division of labor and specialization are followed. The golden rule for a producer under capitalism is to maximize their profit. This is only the main aim for the individuals. Next one, free competition. Free competition. There is free competition in both product and factor market. The government or any authority cannot prevent firms from buying or selling in the market. There is a competition between buyers and the sellers. Next one, price mechanism. Price mechanism is the heart of any capitalistic economy. All economic activities are regulated through price mechanism. Market forces of demand and supply. Role of government. As the price mechanism regulates economic activity, the government has a limited role in a capitalistic economy. The government provides basic services which are defense, public health, education and etc. Seventh one, inequalities of income. Inequality means high and low. A capitalist society is divided into two classes, haves, Haves, that is those who own property, and have-nots, haves, have-nots, who do not own property and work for the living. The outcome of this situation is that the rich become richer and the poor become poorer. Here, economic inequality goes on increasing. Next, we go through the merits of capitalism. Automatic working. First one, automatic working. Second one, efficient use of resources, incentives for hard work, economic progress, consumer sovereignty, higher rates of capital formation, development of new technology. Automatic working, nothing but without any government intervention. Efficient use of resources, use all the resources. Incentives for hard work. Hard works appreciated by the owner. Economic progress. Production and productivity levels are very high in capitalistic economies. Consumer sovereignty. All production activities are aimed at satisfying the others. Others are consumers. Higher rates of capital formation. Increase in saving and investment. This is called the higher rates of capital formation. Development of new technology. As profit is aimed at, producers invest on new technology and produce quality goods. Next one, demerits of capitalism. What are the demerits? Concentration of wealth and income. Only the concentration in the wealth and income. Wastage of resources. Class struggle. Business cycle. Production of non-essential goods. Concentration of wealth and income. Only the concentration in the income. Wastages of resources. Large amount of resources are wasted on competitive advertising and duplication of products. Class struggle. Class struggle means capitalism leads to class struggle as it divides the society into capitalists and workers, owners and workers. Business cycle. Free market system leads to frequent violent economic fluctuations and crisis. Business cycle, otherwise called trade cycle. Production of non-essential goods. Even the harmful goods are produced if there is possibility to make profit.